What's up, guys? Today we are working on the CRX again. Imagine that. I got this thing running again. Last video I kind of ended it saying that the car was it cranked over really hard and whatnot. So I actually had to go through the distributor wiring again, and I actually went to go pull the distributor off, and I could not get the distributor off to save my life. The distributor was like jammed into the cam, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So I got a pry bar on it, and I finally popped it off, and I'll try to find it here. Alright, so the issue I was having with the car is the distributor was like jammed into the cam because this little guy right here, which goes onto the end of the distributor, like so, and the cam grabs it and then spins it, you know, to make the spark. And this thing was actually backed out. The pin that slides through it was backed out. And the this like C-clip thing that holds it all together, it was busted or something, because normally this is like almost fully closed when you put it on, and this one has a gap. So the gap actually allowed the pin to back out, and it ended up damaging this thing a little bit and messing up the distributor. The rotor actually busted and some other shit. So I actually had to swap out the rotor and some other parts. This is just a spare one I have laying around. I kind of took the ear off the back here, and then I used I think that's it. I think the rotor actually just backed off, the screw backed off, and then the rotor just like was bouncing around. So I got that all sorted out now. Everything is good to go. The car's running great, and I finally got to take it around the block and actually drive it. And let's just say in the second gear, if you punch it from like a 30 roll, it busts the tires right off. So that's pretty cool. Now the car is actually throwing another engine light. I thought I had everything sorted out, but I also never really drove the car. So now when I drive it, if I'm just like being easy on it, it's fine. And then as soon as I like lay into the throttle a little bit, I get a code 7. Now code 7 is the throttle position sensor code. And now I'm actually trying to diagnose that problem with a multimeter. So pretty much what I'm doing here is I'm just putting one of the leads from the multimeter into the TPS sensor. I believe it's the middle wire, the yellow or the red one. The red wire on the TPS, I'm probing into it as it's plugged in, so it gets a reading. And then the other one is just going to the ground on the battery here. And I'm making sure the voltage is good. And currently it's sitting at about 0.50, and this is just the way to calibrate it. The throttle doesn't have a stop on it, because it busted, and I don't know if that's why this is giving me an issue, because maybe the throttle is like hyper extending the TPS sensor. So if you guys know anything about that, please leave it in the comments. I'm not sure. I usually don't ever have TPS codes. But a good way to tell if they're bad is just to kind of check the voltage here. And it's supposed to be 0.5 closed, and then I should say it should be 4.5 opened. So we'll open it up. And that is actually as far as it goes. And it's reading 5 volts. But like I said, this throttle doesn't actually have a throttle stop on it, so it should probably be stopping somewhere around there. But yeah, like I said, I'm not really sure what's going on here, but there's no dead spots in the voltage. That's also another thing to check. Just kind of slowly turn the throttle and see if the voltage like dies off or has a dead spot anywhere. And this sensor does not. So that seems good. The calibration seems alright. And yeah, so I don't know what it is. I'm probably going to trace the wire now from the TPS sensor that goes to the middle wire, the red wire. And I'm going to try to trace that back to the ECU and see if that is making a proper connection at the computer. Right now I'm just using my cell phone, and I looked up the Honda OBD1 ECU pinout. I've been doing this a lot on this car, just kind of I've been just kind of tracing wires back to the ECU, and I never really explained how I was doing that kind of stuff, so I'm trying to be more in depth on the videos. I don't know if you guys want to see more like in-depth stuff or if you want to just see the fun shit. I don't know. But anyways, so I got my phone here and I just looked up Honda OBD1 ECU pinout, as you see there. And then this is the connector D, and then D11 is going to be the throttle position sensor. So it says the wire color should be either light green, red, or black. In this case, it is a red wire. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just in the car with a little shop light. And the GoPro kind of sucks for doing low light situations here. But I kind of wanted to show you how to count down on the pins. Pretty much the top row of wires that go into the ECU pin is going to be the odd numbers. And then the bottom side of the ECU, where the wires go into the plug, are going to be the even sides. So starting at the, I would say, if you're looking at the ECU like at the plugs this way, the right side of the plug is going to be where the numbers start, and then the left side of the plug is going to be where the high numbers are. So it's going to go right to left. So top row here we got 1, and then it skips 1 because it's just odd. And then it goes 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. So this is going to be 11 right here. So we trace that wire to this guy. So this is D11 for the TPS. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shove the end of the multimeter into this thing and test the voltage as the, as I turn the throttle. I'm going to check it here at the ECU and make sure that the voltage is getting to the computer. Alright, so I just verified at the ECU that the TPS pin was getting the proper voltage, and it's getting the same exact voltage as it is at the plug. So I'm either thinking that the TPS is just bad and it's not showing that it's bad, or it's because I'm hyperextending the throttle past the normal voltage, which I don't know if it's a possibility, but it kind of makes sense to me. So I think I'm going to go take it for a little test drive now and just go like half throttle to 3/4 throttle and see if the TPS comes on or not. Alright, I just got back from my test drive with the CRX. I didn't really bring you guys along because it's kind of pointless at night because the camera doesn't pick up pretty much anything that I'm doing when I'm in the car at nighttime, just because this camera kind of sucks at low light, like I said. But I did drive it, and it did not throw any check engine light before I was wide open throttle. Like if I went 75-80% throttle, it was fine, and no check engine light at all. But as soon as I matted it to the floor, and banged a gear or two, the check engine light would come on pretty much immediately after. So I'm thinking that the throttle position sensor is okay. It's just that the bracket, the throttle stop on the throttle body, is busted. So I'm thinking that the TPS is getting too much voltage at the wide open throttle. So I'm going to have to either find a throttle body, or maybe I can trick the TPS by setting it lower so it reads lower at idle but 4.5 at wide open. I don't know. I might play around with it a little bit tomorrow, but I also have to figure out why the VTEC isn't working. I currently have no VTEC. I think it's because the speedometer is not working currently. I tried jamming the speedo cable into there, but it's just like a hair too short, and I think as soon as I plug it in, it either yanks it out of the transmission or it's not connecting fully into the cluster. One of the two. So I don't know what speedo cable I need or what, but if any of you guys can help, I would really appreciate it. This car is a 1991 CRX HF model, at least from what I know. And it's got the factory speedometer cable still in it with a B16 cable transmission. And I just have the cable jammed into the transmission, and I think it's good on the transmission end because when I take the cluster off and I just roll the car back and forth with looking at the cable does move. So I'm thinking the cable's okay and it's going into the trans all right. I just don't think it's long enough to actually reach the cluster. So yeah, like I said, if anybody can help with that and tell me what cable I need or whatever, that would really help me out. This car is already super fun with just the B20 with no VTEC. I mean, I can punch it in second gear and it busts the tires off. So I can't wait until this car actually has VTEC and it's working. For those of you who don't know and are not familiar with Hondas, VTEC especially on a B series, like a high compression motor like this is, VTEC can add anywhere from, I don't know, 30 to 60 horsepower. And that's a lot when you're talking a 1,900 pound car. On turbo cars, I mean, if VTEC's not working on a turbo car, you could be down 100 horsepower or even more in some cases. So yeah, I will pick up tomorrow and we will get back at this thing and try to maybe fix the speedometer, see why VTEC's not working, and maybe figure out the TPS issue as well. So we'll be right back. It's the next day now, and just give you guys a little update on the car. I am genuinely fucking stoked. I got the speedo working. The cable was a fucking pain in the ass to get in. I had to, there's like a little bracket under the dash that kind of guides the cable, and it was getting kind of hung up, so I took that bracket off, and it gave me like a 1/4 of an inch more cable to be able to plug it into the back of the cluster. So I got that all working. The speedometer's working great, and I've got all that hooked up, and VTEC wasn't working, so I had to actually, I just hardwired the VTEC solenoid into the car because the clip that plugs into the VTEC solenoid here, you gotta remember that these cars are super old, and the electrical connectors sometimes don't make a connection, or the pin gets pushed back a little bit, so it doesn't actually reach the plug-in where it's supposed to. So, like I said, I just cut the plug off and I wired it direct, just to kind of test stuff. And I took it out, and this thing cracks VTEC like a mofo. It genuinely surprised the shit out of me how fast this car is. I'm going to be taking you guys for a ride, don't worry. But just kind of wanted to give you an update before. I did just drive it, and it's still throwing that TPS code, but it's only throwing the TPS code when I go over, like, I don't know, 80% throttle or so. And I'm thinking it's because I'm hyperextending that throttle, the TPS. The throttle's going too far and the TPS is reading too much voltage, so it throws the engine light. Anyways, other than that, this thing hauls the fucking mail for a little CRX. I mean, like I said, I did not expect it to be this fast, but another issue I'm having right now is after like 6,000 RPM, I haven't really even wound the thing out that hard because after like 6,000 RPM, you can just watch the injector, the wideband. It just starts going leaner and leaner and leaner and leaner. So it's definitely out of fuel, and we're gonna have to tune it a little bit better now. I'm hoping the fuel pump is okay. I'm pretty sure the injectors are just going to be maxed out right now. Somebody also left in the comments down there that the fuel pressure regulator could be an issue because some of the older generation cars had a fuel pressure base of like 38 pounds versus the newer stuff is close to 50. Alright, so we just got the fuel injectors in and had to modify the clip a little bit. There's like a little tab inside of the injector that you kind of got to just cut out with a razor blade to be able to fit the injectors from like a newer style Civic, like a 92 to 95. And you also have to delete the resistor box, which I did here. You pretty much just have to take all the wires going into the resistor box and tie them together and solder them, or put a wire nut on it if you're some janky fucker. But yeah, so now I'm just going to heat shrink this, and we should be good, and we'll see if the tune changes at all. Alright, now that the injectors are installed, I also swapped over to an OBD1 fuel pressure regulator, and I just did the injectors and I checked the wideband and it was around like a 13.3, when before that it was at like 16.2 or something. It was really lean. But the injectors definitely helped, and the fuel pressure regulator helped even more. Like I said, with just the injector swap, I was at a 13.5, and now with the regulator and injectors, it's like low 11s idling. So definitely getting more fuel now, and we're gonna have to adjust the tune to compensate for all these changes now. I also got a new throttle body, or not new, but a used one that has the throttle stop on it, so hopefully we won't be throwing that TPS code anymore, and we should be all good to go. It seems more responsive too, so that's awesome. Now I'm going to tune the ECU real time with Chrome, and for those of you who don't know how to do real-time tuning with Chrome on the stock Honda computer, you pretty much just have to buy one of these guys, It's a 28 pin chip with a ribbon cable off of it, and it goes into this box right here, which is called an ostrich. This is the Ostrich 2.0. I've had this thing for like 6-7 years now. And then it pretty much just takes the signal off of the ribbon cable and plugs it into the laptop, so you can make adjustments on the fly with Chrome. Alright, I got the CRX out driving now. You probably can't see me, but we'll put the camera towards the gauge cluster here. This transmission completely sucks. I got a good deal on it, so I'm not really mad, but it does grind like third gear pretty bad. It locks me out of second, and fifth gear grinds like every time I go to put it in. But, I mean, it still works otherwise. Alright, so we'll do a second gear roll. Get the input bearing or whatever the hell's making a bunch of noise fixed, and hopefully situate some other stuff too. But yeah, I got the tune pretty dialed in too. As you can see, it's like 15.0 cruising around. Wide open is still kind of rich, but it isn't too bad. Ah, fuck it, one more. We'll do a fourth gear just to show you all the torque. I might get in trouble with this thing. It is a blast to drive, I'll tell you that much. Alright, first test drive of the CRX, first real test drive. I mean, I actually drove it for like 30 miles, and everything seems awesome. The car rips super hard. Honestly, it rips a lot harder than I expected it to. Everything seems good. The tune-up is a little bit, you know, off still. I gotta adjust a couple spots at wide open throttle, like low RPM and whatnot. I'm gonna do a more detailed tuning video. I'm gonna film some of it tomorrow when it's daylight out and you guys can actually see what's going on. So I'm gonna do that, and then we also have another project we're doing here at the HunterTuned channel, and it's actually sitting outside, out there. The corner light's hanging off of it, but yeah. That car is actually an EG hatchback that I previously tuned in a video. I'll probably link it at the end of this video so you guys can click and watch that series if you would like. But it is a GSR EG hatchback with a turbocharger. It's just a basic eBay turbo kit. And when he brought it to me for tuning, it was burning a bunch of oil, and he asked me if I could rebuild the motor for him. So we are going to be rebuilding the motor the legit way. As you know, a lot of people, you know, some people don't like how I build my personal stuff, but I'll show you kind of how I'm going to do a customer car, and it's going to be quite a bit different, as hopefully you guys can see. And yeah, so another thing with the CRX is there's no more TPS code, and everything is running super smooth. The only thing is the transmission is super dozy. I don't know if it's just the linkage or what, but it grinds fifth gear literally every time I put it in fifth, and it seems to like lock me out of second and third gear. Fourth gear seems okay, but second and third, you know, the fun gears that you really want to bang, they definitely seem to be having an issue. So I may be rebuilding this transmission coming up, probably not anytime soon, but considering the car still runs and it drives and I'm happy, considering I've been wrenching my balls off on this thing the last week. So yeah, I'm super stoked with this car. It is a pile of shit, but it definitely scoots for a car that I have about $1,200 invested into. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and be sure to stay tuned for maybe tomorrow or the next day. I'll be posting another video. I don't know if you guys like when I do daily uploads. I tried that for a little while and it didn't seem to work that very well. Lately I've been doing uploads where I will actually upload a new video as soon as the last one gets like 500 views. If each video can get 500 views in less than a day, I'll upload more often. If it takes a week to get 500 views, I might wait a week to upload. It seems like if a video is not getting much traction, I usually wait a little bit, and then it, you know, gets more views as the days go on. But yeah, if you guys know people that are looking for, you know, horsepower and whatever kind of fun videos like this, definitely share it to them and show them the channel. Like the video, it helps grow the channel. And if you are new, please subscribe, and then you get notifications every time I post a new video. I try to keep them interesting. Sometimes I'm kind of boring. I don't know. Leave down in the comments what you think I can improve on. I really do want to improve and make this channel bigger, and try to please, you know, everybody. I know a lot of people came here for the Chev Stang, a lot of people came here for the Hondas. I'm trying to branch out to a lot of people, so you guys, so everybody enjoys the videos. Yeah, let me know what I can do different, or if I'm doing good, or if I can improve on anything. Please let me know. I take all comments into consideration. So yeah, till next time, guys. We'll see you later.